Welcome to Career Conversations with Amanda. I'm here with KPMG today, and we're going to be talking about the future of tax. So I'm going to let KPMG introduce themselves. So Alison, if you want to start and give us a little overview of what KPMG is about.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. I'm excited to be with you today. So KPMG is one of the big four accounting firms. We are not a local radio station. We're an accounting firm. Our firm not only does audit and advisory, we do tax as well. Pretty much anything that you can think about from a consulting perspective or a compliance perspective, KPMG has their hands into it. So we do audit, tax, and advisory. Myself, I am Allie Tilson. I'm a managing director in our state and local tax practice. I have been with KPMG since I interned in 2008, and I am a former KSU graduate, so go Owls.
Hi, everyone. My name is Irisa Wood. I am a senior manager in our state and local tax practice, been with the firm nearly 10 years, and also a former KSU master's graduate.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Barrientos. I am a senior manager in our mergers and acquisitions group here at KPMG. I've been with the firm for about just over 10 years. And I'm also an OWLS alumni.
And I am Rober Hyatt, and I am a manager with the state and local tax practice. And I'm very excited to be here today.
Great. Well, thank you all. So let's just jump in. I know we're talking about the future of tax, but can we get a little bit of an overview of what is the evolution of tax?
Yeah, so traditionally, I would say when most people think of tax, we really go back into the compliance world. And I would break tax really into two different sections. We have a compliance group, and then we also have a lot of consulting that we do. And I would say historically, what most people think of is really on the compliance side. This is the traditional tax returns. And this is where I think tax has really gotten a bad rap historically. Most people think of us, again, isolated in an office, just sitting there crunching numbers, crunching out tax returns, and just kind of away from it all. But I will say a lot of that has changed recently. So there's a lot of exciting things that are happening now. So I will turn over to actually my colleague, Luis, who will actually give you a little more about what's going on right now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, sitting in a cube doesn't sound like at all like what I do. I'm always traveling out to client sites, interacting with our client professionals, VPs of tax, tax directors. So yeah, I mean, we're out in the road as much as we are in the office. I guess, and that's kind of what's made KPMG a trusted advisor, right, for our clients throughout like just interacting with them personally rather than just by email. One of the things that has kind of evolved over the years as well has been our KPMG has kind of made its point to kind of streamline its processes. For example, right now, KPMG they developed a group, a show outside of the US that's referred to as our KPMG Global Services. Pretty much what they do is kind of do all the data input, so form preparing. So as an associate or senior associate in our office, it's not like you're sitting there inputting data into a form. You're now just reviewing the form and thinking more about it from a consulting perspective rather than data input. I mean, I think, so I think it's not only data input, it's more analytical, which makes things a bit more interesting. Another thing that KPMG has kind of worked on, right, is they've developed a what they call a business tax engine, and that helps us kind of streamline more like tax compliance processes. And not only are we analyzing the data, but we're seeing how it flows through the systems, and then ultimately to the point of filing a tax return. So I'll turn it over to Irisa to talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the future of tax, and what I keep hearing from Louise and what Robert also touched on was transformation, taking things that, taking our inputs and changing the form of that input to give us the greater output. And I think that's exactly what our people and our systems are doing. They're taking information and they are saying, hey, this is, back in the day, we used to be the number crunchers. We used to be the folks with all the paper returns and the calculators. That was us. Now that is no longer us. We have systems who's actually doing the work for us and allowing us to add value to a greater value to what we're doing every day. So I think that those systems are allowing us to do higher value work. We have the, ignition teams that we have access to that says, hey, this is our idea. This is what we think will work great for our engagements. Can we actually implement this? And I think that that's what we actually look for as well. We're looking for our new staff. We're looking for our new seniors to challenge what's already been done in the past. We have, Louise mentioned our team overseas, like our KGS Global Services Group overseas, but we also have a domestic shared service group as well, which with a couple offices out in Orlando and in various places, Charlotte, etc., who will actually do that compliance work, taking those inputs and putting on the return. But what can we be doing, in our home offices to help with that process and those things and that value as well.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, there's a lot of great information about how, you're not just sitting in a cube and you're actually interacting with people and being social and things like that we haven't really always thought about in terms of tax, but also accounting in general, I think. So why is this exciting?
That's a great question, Amanda. So tax is exciting. The future of tax is really exciting. Just because it's always changing and there's always something new for us to analyze. We have tax reform going on in the US and internationally even. So what we've really been focusing on is leveraging technology to allow us to focus on consulting and being that trusted advisor role. So we're not pulled into the weeds of compliance as much. So one software that we are leveraging in a lot of our processes is Alteryx. Alteryx is our rock star. It really is. We are shaking up our compliance process with it. We're taking the mundane tasks and building workflows around them. And this allows us to become more efficient with our compliance. So we have that time to really dig into tax reform changes and be a consultant rather than just a compliance number crunching, getting tax returns out the door. That's a big part of what we do, but we really, our value added aspect of our jobs is digging into tax reform and consulting on it and identifying the best opportunities to get the right numbers on the tax returns. So an area that we have in state tax is something called apportionment. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's really repetitive. It's a mundane task. So we leverage Alteryx to transform the data formats. We use it to compare numbers to make sure we're pulling in and capturing all of the correct data. And it's been able to cut out hundreds of hours of our compliance process. And then we use that data throughout our compliance lifecycle as well. So it's really helped optimize the process. And then we use that from a compliance perspective, but then there's other technology that we use for even our consulting aspects. So for our research and methods and credits group, we have some qualitative analytics that we use. And then our mergers and acquisitions group, we use a natural language processing for contract and legal document review. So, we're really finding ways to take those mundane tasks, optimize the process so that we can focus on the higher value aspects of our job.
That's something that our faculty actually have been talking a lot about too with students is like process automation and how that is fitting into industry and where that's going. So it's good to hear a firm talk about what that looks like, outside of just our faculty teaching it to students and things like that, like real world ways
right.
that they're implementing.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
If I may, like I was talking about the business tax engine earlier, right? That pretty much computes your federal tax return, right? Another tool that KPMG has kind of developed or has developed, and it's continuing to develop as we kind of go into tax reform, not only in the U.S. but across the world, is our international tax reform analyzer, which it's pretty much it kind of serves different purposes, from planning to tax compliance to tax consulting. So it's all that, having that all in one tool makes it a lot better for the client, as well as our tax professionals.
We'll also add on that too, that we have in the state side a similar tool as well with Solpro. So there's a lot of, within tax, there's a lot of joint work with the different process groups. We work very heavily with international, domestic, with state tax. And so we'll use those models as well, because of course with state tax, we're dealing with a lot of different jurisdictions, so we get into different rules that they have for it. But with this automation, one thing I do want to point out is what it really allows us to do in many respects is it takes, again, the repetitive mundane tasks out of what we do and allows us really to look at the numbers and go to deeper meaning with the numbers, get a better understanding of what they actually mean. So we can add them up, we can make sure things tick in time, we make sure we get the right calculation, but then that extra step of interpreting and gathering meaning from those numbers, which may then lead to other opportunities, may be able to find that maybe there's someplace somebody needs to file, or there's an opportunity where we can save them some tax on something else. So again, it's just crossing that bridge from the mundane to getting into the fun, the analysis, the interpretation of what picture does this actually paint for us.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Any last thoughts on future of tax and how we make this more exciting for people to think about?
I mean, my only piece of advice is, don't let an old stigma influence your decision for your future. We have a lot of exciting things happening in tax. We are leveraging automation, Power BI, Alteryx, a whole host of different technology platforms to take that mundane aspect out of tax. And we really are quite social. I am constantly at clients. I work on teams of up to 10, 15 people as well. So just think about current state and let go of the past.
Absolutely, Allie. I think what I will also say is be open to continued learning. There's so much that we do every day, so much you're learning. I mean, all of us have been here, 5 years plus, and we're still learning something every single day. And even if, hey, this part of tax may not be something you enjoy doing, there's so many other areas and so many other opportunities to be able to jump in. And so I just say, be open and willing just to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, taking advantage of the opportunities that you get, right? Mm-hmm. One opportunity might lead to another opportunity, which could lead to yet another opportunity, right? So I would say take advantage of the opportunities that you will have once you enter the tax world.
Great. Yeah, I like what you said about how education isn't really a destination and it never ends. Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really like what I do with like these conversations and things like that, because I'm always learning. Like I'm not an accounting professional, so it's good to hear this. And so I hope that students are going to get a lot out of this as well. But yeah, so thank you so much for talking about the future of tax with us.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. We enjoyed.